What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Thruline podcast. Jay Larson here, October 3rd. Can you believe it? You can look at it a number of ways. I can't believe it's October already. Or you could look at it like, man, it's almost the end of the year. November and December and October, and we're done. That's crazy town. Which will be a full year of doing this podcast. Which, by the way, I want to give a shout out to all the Crab Feast fans that are listening or watching that have been here from Jump Street, a long time ago. So many people hit me up from the Crab Feast, and I know there's a lot of people out there that stopped listening after the Crab Feast was no more. And see you later to those people. And those of you that are listening, I appreciate you. You're the best. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. Everyone who hits me up on social media says that they're looking forward to the new episode. And I love that you guys are digging what I'm talking about and why I'm talking about it. You know what I mean? Why I'm talking about it. Before I get into that, everyone who follows on social, Jay Larson Comedy, Instagram, Jay Larson Comedy on Facebook. If you're more of a Facebook person, I'm taking a lot of videos, and they're going to start going over there. We're going to be doing more active things on Facebook because we've been killing it over on Instagram. I don't know if any of you followed, but I happened to pick a guy's name out of a hat the other day, and by that I mean I guessed the guy's name. No big deal. I am somewhat clairvoyant, which is pretty cool. Dates. 6th, 7th, and 8th, Hartford, Connecticut, at the Hartford Funny Bone. 14th, 15th, 16th of November. That was November for Hartford. I'll be at Laugh Boston in Boston, obviously. Excuse me. And if you're coming out to Vermont, I'm so sorry, but I have to change that date. We're working on getting a new date. I don't know when it's going to be, but sometimes things come up, you know what I mean? And in this case, it's a corporate gig, and sometimes you got to move for those things because you just have to. But we're going to get a new date, and maybe it'll be sooner. I don't know. It all depends. And if you're out there anywhere else and you want me to come there, hit me up, one, and then at the same time, hit up the club that you want me to come to because that always helps. And then you tell me, and I'll reach out to my rep, and I'll try and get there. And then New Year's Eve, Portland. What up? Very excited about going out to Portland for New Year's. Yeah. So that's that. Can't believe the year's almost over. Anyway, Crab Feast fans, you're the best. I appreciate all of you. And all you Thruline fans. I've tried to think of something for what you are. What are you, a Thruliner? Are you a T-liner? You're a TL? Nothing sounds good. You can't force things like that. You know what I mean? What am I going to do? It's never been my thing. I'm not good at naming things. I sold one TV show, and it was about a guy. You ready for this? It's very different from who I am. It was about a guy who had a wood shop, and he was outspoken against, the norm. And I called it Against the Grain. What? Yeah, best name I've ever come up with. Every other show I've sold, never had a name for. And I'm not good at that kind of thing. I'm not good at nicknames. I asked people to call me Dis when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I'm not good at that stuff. So if you guys think of anything, let me know. I have some other things on the horizon that I'm working on that will play into, what we do over here. But I'll tell you, the fall is coming. The fall is here. Look at the mug, baby. That's not a fall mug if you've ever seen one. That's as fall as it gets right there. And I love it. The thing is, here's the thing. In Los Angeles, you don't really have time. Sometimes you don't realize that the seasons have even changed. Years will go by. Because it's always sunny. But now that I've lived here long enough, it's the little tiny things. All of a sudden, last night I'm coming home. Did I have a show last night? No. Where was I coming? Oh, I did this try to do a fundraiser at my kid's school. No big deal. And I was coming home from it, and I checked the car, and it was 58 degrees at night. And I was like, oh my God. It's getting down into the 50s, baby. But even when I was back home, I can't wait to travel in November because it's going to be cold. And I love the idea of people oh, you go for walks all the time. It's because you live in LA. No, it's not. If I lived anywhere else, I would go for walks. So my son had Monday off because it was the Jewish holiday, so public schools get it off. And he and I spent the day together, and I took him to there's this place called Will Rogers State Park, and it's this beautiful park. It's got a huge grass field. They have polo fields, and then there's hiking trails, and we hiked this 2-mile trail, and it was like unbelievable. Like the kid wanted a sweater. Middle of the day, it's cold. You're in the shade. You need a sweater. God, is there any better hammock weather in the world than fall? No, there is not. There's not. This is the thing I like you guys understand this, is the simple things. And I was out here in the studio, if you will, and I found a bunch of, these were like my favorite baseball cards I had in a plastic thing. I think I'm missing one of them. But I pitched this TV show once called it was called One Thing. Very creative title, like I said. And it was basically like, if your house was burning down and you could take one thing out of it, what would you take? And then what was the story behind it? And I was going to do it with celebrities. And I had these baseball cards. And now I'm looking through these. I can't find the one that the story is. But I have a Nolan Ryan rookie card somewhere around here. Not a rookie, but I traded it for a Corey Snyder. It was like the best trade I've ever had. I got a Mark McGwire rookie here, Barry Bonds. Everyone who did steroids, and now their cards are no longer of value. But let me tell you something. Barry Bonds would have, Bo Jackson rookie. Get the fuck out of my face. Bo Jackson, dude. Ken Griffey rookie. There's some good cards in here. No one cares about baseball cards anymore. Anyway, this is the card that when I pitched this show, I only pitched it one place, and this is when I was doing Best Bars in America. If you're a Best Bars fan and you're tuning in, what up, guys? What up? So Esquire had a network, and I wanted to pitch this idea, this one thing. And so I talked about the Holiday Bakery sign, which you guys have seen, and then I talked about a baseball card, and I can't remember what the third thing was, but this was the baseball card, and this is a Ted Williams manager card from when he managed the Washington Senators. So remember when the Nationals came back? By the way, it's baseball season. Playoffs are happening. The wild card just happened last night. Second one's tonight. I love playoff baseball. If you're a sports fan, I'm sure you do too. Nationals made it. So when they're giving a team back to the Nationals, to Washington, D.C., people like, well, it's going to be the Senators. They had the Nationals. I wanted to be the Grays. Remember the Grays? It was a Negro League team. I thought it would be dope. Anyway, Ted Williams managed the Senators, and this was the first time he managed, and he got Manager of the Year, and he won like 85 games or something like that. But then they told him Ted Williams was the best hitter maybe to ever live, and that's why his head is frozen somewhere, by the way. That's happening. That is happening in our world. You think everyone thinks something's normal. You think the world's normal? Ted Williams' head is frozen somewhere because his children thought it would be a good idea to freeze the man's brain for what? For what? For science. They're like, well, maybe they could bring. Do you know how arrogant you are to think that your dad's good enough to be frozen? He was a great hitter, okay? And he was a good fly fisherman, okay? He's in 2 Hall of Fames. He's in the Fly Fishing Hall of Fame, and that's a big deal. But like, to have someone's head frozen, get the fuck out of here. Do you know how crazy our world is that you can just get someone's head frozen? Like, yeah, let's just keep his head around, dude. Who knows? What are you going to do? Attach it to someone else's body? Take his brain out, put it in something else? Use the DNA? It's so stupid and gross and weird. Like, what are you even doing? Like, I think I'm going to be cremated when I die. I think that's what we're going to do. The idea of visiting me somewhere in the ground is just so weird. I just would rather be like, burn me up and then give my kids the ashes. And if they want to like scatter me somewhere. Is this weird to talk about? Anyway, this baseball card, it was the last day I can remember hanging out with my dad, and I feel like I was like 9 or 10, and I went to work with him at this antique store that he worked at, and I didn't really work. I just kind of hung out, walked around. I was just there with him. Now, you want to teach a kid patience? Be like, oh yeah, you're going to go hang out in an antique store all day. The only thing I remember getting a meatball sub, and I remember there was this room that was like this is another thing. It was wintertime, and antique stores are always drafty. You know what I mean? At least in the East Coast, they're drafty. They're like old floorboards. They're crickety. You know, some rooms have a heater, like a space heater or an air conditioner in the summer. You know, like there's no central anything. And I remember being in this one room where they had like all old newspapers and magazines, because people collect those, and it was all glass, so like the sun was coming in. There's nothing better to me than being in the winter, like snow, anywhere there's snow or it's cold, and you're sitting inside and you can stand at the window and you see how cold it is outside, but you're warm inside. Oh, the best. Even if it's so cold that you're standing up against that window and you can feel the cold through the window, but you're warm inside, the best. Anyway, I remember like walking down this like sunlit room, and it felt so warm, the sun on you, even though it was cold inside the building. And the meatball sub, I don't remember if I even just said that, but I had a meatball sub that day. It was the best. Like lunch got there, like, oh, we're going to finally eat lunch. But this is something else I've always loved. I love small spaces, okay? I love tiny spaces. I love garages. I love attics. I love basements. I love cottages. I love cabins. I also love little tiny workspaces within a big workspace. At golf courses, where the cart barn guys sit, there's always a desk inside a huge garage. It's a little work area. At like a Marshall's, there's a jewelry counter, or like a, you know, those little tiny jewelry counters that got to buzz a little door, even though I could just hop over it. I love those little areas. And at antique stores, they have like, this place had like a center little spot where they had like a desk and a computer. Like at a bookstore, they have like the little spot where you go and check out. Any little tiny space. In comedy clubs, the little offices manager are always super cool spaces. That's where we worked this day, in this little space. That's where I ate my lunch. And I remember just like seeing people eating their lunch inside a workspace always seems appealing to me. Like I love it. I love seeing like at an antique store, the guy's like, yeah, what do you need? Yeah, of course. Yeah, hold on one second. And it's just like, oh, he's just eating that sandwich, man. It just looks like a great sandwich. This is my big problem. I always want to be in someone else's job. I never want my life. I always want other people's lives. It's not even a greener grass situation. You think some guy's working in an antique store eating a meatball sub has a greener grass than I have? No, I just love other people's lives. Anytime I drive by a hair salon at 9:30 at night and I see someone getting their hair cut, I'm like, that person gets it. I want their life. Anytime I see, God, name it. I don't know, like you go to I remember in New York, there was this guy in a brownstone. He had walked down steps into a little tiny repair shop where he fixed lamps. I'm like, I want that guy's life. I just love seeing other people's lives and being like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. You know, it's interesting to me. So anyway, we're sitting there that day, and at the end of the day, my dad was like, you can pick out one thing for up to $20 for, you know, what you want to get paid. And now that I'm telling you this story, I realize it's not this card. It was a Hank Aaron card. Hank Aaron was one of my favorite. All my idols as a kid were black. All of them. I did a paper on Martin Luther King was my jam. I tried to read as much about Martin Luther King when I was a kid. That's all I cared about. All I cared about was Martin Luther King. I did a paper on O.J. Simpson. I mean, who knew? I did a paper on Jesse Owens. I loved MLK. I loved Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron was like, he was the home run king, but he played for the Braves. And I played for the Braves. I was in Little League. I played for the Braves for like four years. And I loved Hank Aaron. So there was this Hank Aaron card. It was $20. Wasn't his rookie. It was like later on. But it was a, you know, Hank Aaron card. And in that, sorry guys, I have like a throat issue. This Hank Aaron card was a miscut. If you know anything about baseball cards, sometimes when it goes through they print them in sheets and then they cut them. So the border around the card will be thick on one side and super thin on the other, and that's what this was. So they're not worth as much. It was a miscut. So when I'm pitching this TV show and I have this card, I'm talking about how it's a miscut. And I break down that, like, my whole relationship with my dad was a miscut. This was the last time I saw him. It was this card, and I never saw him again. And My life was a miscut with him. Our relationship was a miscut. And anyway, I had the woman in tears. And I had these like other cards. My dad gave me these when I was like 36. I saw my dad since that time, as far as I can recall. And he gave me a bunch of these old baseball cards because like that's like the one thing he knew I liked. They weren't worth anything. But when I had this meeting, I gave this woman a Hank Aaron baseball card. It wasn't in great shape. I'm not just giving away Hank Aaron cards. And she took the card and started crying. And she's like, my husband's favorite team are the Braves, the Brewers. But it used to be the Milwaukee Braves. I can't remember what the situation was. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Hank Aaron, like, it was sentimental to her. And years later, 2 years later, we went in and we pitched a Crab Feast show, Ryan Sickle Cell and I, and we were pitching this TV show based on our podcast. And when we went in, that woman was there, and she's like, I still have that baseball card on our, like, I forget where she had it, but I was like, yeah, it's a great goddamn idea, honey. But I would never say honey because what is this, the 50s? And I'm a total chauvinist. Anyway, I used to love collecting baseball cards. That was the thing. This is how bad I am with money. You want to know how bad I am with money? Still to this day. This is something I did when I was a kid. We all used to... It's unbelievable when you think about it. All right. This is how bad I am with money. When we were kids, we used to trade baseball cards, right? And we would ride our bike everywhere. And my buddy Rye Young would always find places to go. He'd be like, there's a baseball card shop in Woburn. We just got to ride our bikes. 6th grade, we would ride our bikes 5 miles to another town to a baseball card shop. So we'd all get together our best cards and we'd take them. And I had this update set. So it would come out in the middle of the year. So like if guys had added people to the teams, it would get updated. And this update set had an Ellis Burks rookie card in it. I went to the shop. The guy wouldn't buy anything. He's like, you want to sell that Ellis Burks card? Out of the set. I would take away the set to sell this card. And I just wanted a sale. I sold it for like $1.25. I'm like, yeah, I'll sell it. The dumbest thing ever. But I just wanted a sale. That's who I am. That's who I am. I don't care about money. I just care about cool things. I wanted to have a sale, man. And I sold that damn card. Greatest trade I ever made with a baseball card? I'll tell you right now. I traded a 1988 Olympic Corey Snyder. Okay? I remember being in the backyard at my picnic table trading cards with Adam Walker. He had a 1969 Nolan Ryan Mets card. He was on the Mets. And it was like his 4th year in the league or something like that. I think he was Angels then Mets. And then, became an Astro down the road. And they were both worth $7 in a Beckett. You had this guy that would tell you what cards are worth. They were both worth $7, and I traded them straight up. Nolan Ryan for Corey Snyder, both worth $7. Kind of a baller move on my part. And they're both probably worth nothing now, but what can you do? I used to love trading baseball cards. I used to just love baseball cards. It was the greatest thing in the world. And that's what I wonder, like, what do kids do now? You just, like, what, collect apps? Is that what you do? You collect apps? So funny how, like, so much of my life took place within, like, 5 square miles when I was a kid like that. You would just, like, there was this kid, Eric Butters, whose dad used to sell baseball cards out of the back of his house. He didn't, like, have a storefront. He just had this little area, and he would, like, sell cards, and we'd go buy cards there and stuff. So weird. Which, by the way, the other day, I'm driving through a neighborhood, and there's a crossing guard sitting in a chair. Little crossing guard sitting in a chair, looking at their phone. Got the crossing guard uni, they got the stop sign. Here comes a kid, pops up, gets the stop sign up. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do when I'm older. When I'm retired, I am going to be a crossing guard. Mark my words. Mark my words. I always said when I was young, when my kids are in school, I'm going to be involved. I'm setting up shows. I'm going to do a fundraiser for my kids' school. So many things. I always said I'm going to have a little workshop in my garage. What do you think I'm doing right here? I will be a crossing guard. Ask yourself right now, what are you going to do when you're old? What are you going to do? I can't wait to retire. I'm going to be a crossing guard. Ask yourself what you're going to be. I'm going to be a guy like I am now who sits in the front steps and drinks coffee. I always wanted to be the guy who walked his kid to school with his coffee mug from home. That's what I do now. What are you going to do? Think about this. If I'm a crossing guard, which I will be, I am going to sit there in a chair, and then I'm going to have a little table, okay? And on that table, I'm going to have flowers. I'm going to have an area, dude. I'm going to have a little area. I'm going to have flowers. I can't wait. I'm going to be a crossing guard when I'm older, and I'm going to have a chair and a little table. I'm going to have flowers. I'm going to have my coffee in like a thermos. And then there was this one crossing guard. I never had her, but she was on the other side of my town, and my friends have her. And sometimes I'd go home with them, and I'd see her. On Friday, she'd give everyone a piece of candy. What? Yeah. So I'm going to have a bowl of candy because I'm going to give out candy. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe I just give out English muffins, you know what I mean? Buttered English muffins. I just want a little setup. Something I like about a little outdoor setup, you know? It's what God, little outdoor things. I can't wait for that. I mean, this is what life should be. You should be focused on these kind of things. You know, the other thing I want to do, this is the other thing. I'm hoping that if I want to have a guy friend when I'm older, and I'm talking like 80s, we live in the same town, and we go meet for coffee in the morning. I'd love it to be my wife, but I don't think she drinks coffee. You know what I mean? She does, she doesn't, she goes on and on. I want to be able to go somewhere and be like, you ever go into like a little restaurant or an Italian deli or a coffee shop and there's 4 old guys sitting there drinking coffee, playing cards? You see it all the time at golf courses. Like at the end of a round, they just sit there and they play cards. I'm like, oh, that's the dream. That's the dream. Just sitting there playing cards. When my wife and I used to travel before kids, we'd always bring a deck of cards and we'd bring Yahtzee. And we would I remember sitting in this like courtyard in Sweden drinking rosé with my wife with a cheese plate playing Yahtzee or rummy. Those are the 2 things. And I'm like, what's better than this? Nothing. There's nothing better than that. You got a little booze, got a little food, you get the person you love, and then you're playing a game? Oh, forget it. Like I played whist as kids. We played whist. It's a great card game. If you've ever played hearts or spades or euchre, it's like that, except it's a little more, I don't know if it's more complex, but it's more complex. I'm not trying to sound like I'm better than you, but I'm better than you. And I always wanted to get my wife into it, like, hey, get my friends into let's all learn how to play whist because I miss the game so much, and then start doing it once a week. But I don't know what it is. Like, what were people doing back in the day that's what they did? I just look at my friends' schedules. Everyone is so crazy. Everyone's crazy. The world moves so fast now, and we have all these little things that help us. They're not helping us. They're just making you have more things. And then no one's ever slowing down, being like, yeah, we do this thing once a week. We get together, we play cards. I don't even know who I like enough. I don't even know if I have people in my life that I like enough that I want to be like, yeah, I want to see them every week. Every week? It's a little much, okay? It's a little much. I don't like myself enough. You know what I mean? I need to check out mentally because I can't even like myself enough that I want to be around myself every day. Come on. It's too much. This is the great thing about being married, because people always talk about what, they take a knock on marriage or they cut down on marriage. Yeah, I get it. But it's little things. The other day, yesterday, I'm out here doing work. My wife's at home. She works from home when she's home. She comes out here with a hot dog in a bun and goes, "You want a hot dog?" Now, did I want a hot dog? No. Had I even thought about a hot dog? No. But my wife brought me a hot dog in a toasted bun with yellow mustard on it. And I was like, there's nothing else in the world I want right now except this goddamn hot dog. And that's the little thing about marriage that's you're not getting if you're not married. Or if you're not getting that in your life every once in a while. Now, is this every day? Hell no. But every once in a while, a hot dog with mustard? Now, people ask me, how do you do your hot dog? This is how I do it. Yellow mustard. And I'm not talking about Gouldens. That's brown mustard. All the hot dog little stands in New York, they all have a yellow thing of mustard out. And I'll be like, hey, do you have any yellow mustard? They go, yeah. And you grab it, and it's not. It's Gouldens or, brown mustard. Whatever that is, that's what it is. I want yellow mustard, okay? On my hot dog, I go ketchup, yellow mustard, relish, if everything's available. That's how I was raised. That's just what it is. People who are ketchup only, I don't get you. I don't get you. If you put tomatoes on your hot dog, Chicago dog. Nope, I don't get you. How do you do your dog? Huh? How you do your dog? Every now and then, give me a tangy mustard. I'm cool with it, but nothing. What, a yellow mustard? You get that? It's get that little bite to it, you know. Then you go ketchup for the sweet, and then the relish is just an extra bonus. You got to be careful though. The relish can cool down your hot dog. You don't want to cool it down. And if you can get that toasted roll, that's huge. It's the steamed bun. Oh, they steam the bun. I just don't ever get this like people that like. How many different ways can you do a hot dog that's going to like blow your mind? Like a Chicago dog, it might be the dumbest thing that I've ever heard for like a city having a food. You know what I mean? New York, everyone's going to talk about pizza and bagels. Let me tell you something. The bagels in New York are insane. It's just, they're better than anywhere. Anywhere. Okay? 2. I love New York style pizza. I just love it. I feel like there's so many places in New York you can just go in, get a slice of pizza, and be like, yeah, this is amazing pizza. Now, is it like the best pizza I've ever had? No, but I love it in New York. I love knowing, like, there's next to Stand Up New York on the Upper West Side, there was a great pizza place I used to love to go to. And then there's that famous pizza shop right by the Comedy Cellar in New York, which is awesome as well. But there's also like 60 of those places around the city, you know? Then you got the bagels and the pizza. Otherwise, in New York, there's just amazing food everywhere, okay? Boston, you have clam chowder. People always talk about the clam chowder guy. And lobster rolls. There's another thing I always talk about, belly clams. You can get belly clams in Massachusetts. You can't get those anywhere else. Other than that, you know, there's a bunch of stuff. Chicago, everyone's with their deep dish pizza. Yeah, okay, I've had it. It is good. Listen, I love Chicago. I'm not ripping on it. But I just don't understand a Chicago dog. I just don't understand it. Why do you need... Nobody wants tomatoes on things. On a hot dog, why? Just go ketchup. What is the point of this tomato? Or a pickle? You're going to go a pickle on a hot dog? No, you go relish. You're just like... Chicago, you're like 2 steps behind everybody else. We cut out the tomatoes and we did ketchup and we cut out the pickles and we did... And then what do you have it like you have something like a poppy seed bun or something? No, why do you need this big bun getting in the way? Listen, I'm cool with cool buns, but whatever. You know, what else is there? You know, anyway, everyone's got their thing. I'm just saying a Chicago dog seems like a ridiculous idea to me because it's just like you're just bulking up a dog. Why are you bulking up a dog? They put it into a sauce, man. You know? They call it ketchup. They call it mustard. They call it relish. You don't need all this. Anyway. How do you do your hot dog? I was thinking the other day of like what. So like, you know, like you try and skimp on stuff when you're an adult and you have kids, or you try to get healthy things. Like there's this like healthy brand at Whole Foods that makes like Cheez-Its. You know what I mean? It's their Cheez-It. And we get it sometimes because we go to Whole Foods. They don't sell Cheez-Its there. They sell this thing. So I get them. The other day I grab a couple and I'm like, fuck off. Not even close. It's the same thing, same shape, same color. Nowhere near even close to how good Cheez-Its are. Not even close. And I don't care if there's junk in there. I don't care. Do I think you should eat some healthy alternatives to food? Sure. Another one, English muffins. You ever had another English muffin that isn't Thomas's? Have you ever had an English muffin that isn't Thomas's? I'm sure it's adequate, but then you have a Thomas's and you're like, oh my God. No question. There is no question that Thomas's is the only English muffin that you're ever going to want to have because it's the greatest thing in the world. My mother-in-law won't even cut an English muffin. She has to pull it apart because she wants those nooks and crannies. They sold you on that. Dude, pull apart an English muffin by Thomas's and feel how moist, yeah, I'm saying moist, that muffin is. Oh, it's unreal. Let me tell you something I could do without for the rest of my life, and it would not bother me. Ready? Biscuits. I know. I know some of you are upset. I know you're a lot of biscuit fans out there. I'm not. I'm just not. Maybe I haven't had good ones. Like I know in the South they make like crazy good biscuits. I just never. Cornbread? Yes, I love a good cornbread. You know what else? You make a terrible cornbread, I want you out of my goddamn life. Because it seems like why the best cornbread I've had and then versus the worst, you're like, why would you ever make it like this? Now, there's a big controversy with me and my friends at Thanksgiving because we all do a family Thanksgiving, okay? I like stuffing one way, and it's got to be moist. You start throwing, first of all, why do you need sausage in your stuffing? Who was the person that said, gotta throw sausage? Shut up. Some things need to be basic. Onions, celery, bread, milk. You got stuffing. One thing in Massachusetts we have, Bell's Seasoning. Look it up. Only in Massachusetts. The company's been around since like the 1700s. It's in a little box, Bell's Seasoning. And I remember my sister one time said, like, why does everyone love Nana's stuffing so much? It's on the side of the seasonings box, the recipe. It's not like some fancy recipe. Exactly. And that's what we love about it. Everyone thinks you need to get so crazy with stuff. You don't. You know what I mean? You don't. Basic. Just basic. A good hamburger is just basic. God, who doesn't love a good burger? I mean, I think I could talk about food. I'm trying to get back on the healthy eating, and that's probably why I'm like so food obsessed right now, because another thing that I don't think we realize, Pepsi is just a knockoff. Pepsi is a knockoff that took it to the next level. That's all they are. Think about all the knockoffs out there. I'll give you an example. You ever had a gummy bear that's not a real gummy bear? And you're like, all right, it's a sweet, or a Swedish fish that isn't a Swedish fish. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh, okay, someone made a knockoff. It's a, you know, it's like the Kmart version of things, or the discount version. We would always get discount cereals as kids. Like if you get like discount, like Kicks, fine, okay, you know. You ever had discount? God damn it! What are they? Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Go away. You are not Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. God damn! What a cereal, huh? Am I wrong? But what I'm saying is, what was the other thing I just said? Pepsi. That's all they were. They were some knockoff soda company, and they just kept pushing it. They took a market. Coke, that's how powerful Coke is. Coke is, you know, recognizable everywhere. Pepsi came in and was like, yo, we're going to do this shit too, dude. We're going to take exactly what you did, but we can't take your recipe, so we'll make something close. And they drove it home. They just drove it home. And now look at. I'm just saying. I'm not, you know, it's whatever, but certain things should just be certain things. And Coca-Cola is the only thing in the world that you really need to have. It's unbelievable. It is so damn good. It's unbelievable. This is something I wanted to share. Obviously, a lot of you, you know, that's why I was talking earlier. We have Crab Feast fans that listen in best bars in America. Some of you just know me from stand-up. I don't know. I'd be interested to know how you know me. I had a moment this week. Sunday night, I did a show. Well, Saturday night, I was at the Comedy Store, which is my home club, and it's the best club in the world. And it's amazing just being there. And every time I get to perform there or my name's on the marquee, I'm just like blown away. So I was there for Saturday. Friday, I was also there. Sunday, I was at the Laugh Factory. Now, I wasn't at the Laugh Factory because the Laugh Factory just doesn't book me for some reason. I mean, I have the second most popular video on their entire website, but whatever. But they do a show Sunday nights called Chocolate Sundays. And it was always a very black show back in the day. And now they're like, you know, when I asked to do the show, they're like, you know, it's not really as black as everyone thinks. And I was like, oh, I just want to do the show. Now, I was the only white comic on the show. And it's a predominantly, I would say the audience was 90% ethnic, black or otherwise, and 10% white. And maybe the best audience I've ever performed of in my life. It was insane. The energy was amazing. And I loved every goddamn second of it. I mean, there's nothing I like more than just hanging with black people. Because for me as a kid, there was no black people around. I always just felt like, I almost like felt out of place around black people. I didn't know how to like talk to black people. And I was never really in an environment, and I said really, but I wasn't ever, where I was the minority amongst black people or otherwise. And, man, there's something freeing about it. Now, I understand. I don't understand. But if you're black and you were in an all-white school or a predominantly white school, maybe that was tougher if you were white being an all-black. I have no idea. I just know that, like, as an adult, to be in an environment where I can just be and have it be a place that isn't comfortable. Not comfortable, but stereotypically white, I guess. I don't know. There's just something I love about it. I mean, I've talked about being in Atlanta and how much I love like the amount of diversity that's there, and just like, it just feels like easy. You know, it's just easy on me. And that's how this show felt. And then Monday, I did Largo, which is, I would say the audience was probably 90% white, and the lineup was 100% white. And I went and did the same exact set in two completely different environments, and they both resonated. And it just like something hit me. I'm like, we all just want to laugh at the end of the day. This isn't I'm not some, this isn't about like, let's all get along. But at the end of the day, yeah, let's all get along. It was the best feeling in the world knowing like, you can just, you can do your material. You don't have to change it. It doesn't have to be different. It can be exactly what you want it to be. And it was. And I loved every second of it. And for me, I said to Sickler, I'm like, dude, who else do you know that's doing Chocolate Sunday on Sunday and then going to Largo on Monday? He's like, nobody. I'm like, I'm sure there are plenty of comics that have done both or can do both, but it just felt great to just go do one and then go do the other and know, like, it just gave me some reinforcement. Like, yeah, you're doing the right thing. And it was like, let's do Chocolate Sunday more, because that was the most fun I've ever had. You know what it is about an audience that has that great of energy, or that's laughing that hard or that into it? It's a confidence. It's a confidence that they're there to participate and laugh. And that's what going to a comedy show is. You're participating, you're laughing, you're being a part of the show without being a part of the show. And man, I need to participate more. You ever get that feeling? You're just like, man, how do I participate more? I got to camp. Like, I was looking at this. I didn't even think about this. That says 2019 goals. So I always I'm a goal-oriented dude. And I think it was because, I don't know what it was. I think my mom gave me these pads of paper. I mentioned it before. I found them like week in the life, day in the life, month in the life, or moment in the life of Jay Larson. They were labeled. And I just felt like, if I write goals out every year, it just gives me something to work towards. And I never had like a boss, you know what I mean? There's no boss in comedy being like, are you doing this? So it was like writing out these goals. And I'm looking at it, and I haven't done any of them. I said I wanted to finish this script. I did. I didn't write this. I don't know why it's highlighted. I finished my yard. I put down, I wanted to do more one-on-one activities with my kids. And for me, I love this saying, I don't know what I think till I hear what I say. So for me, if I say it or I write it down, it just becomes something that will happen, you know? And that's something that I did. Keep exploring. Weekend trips we don't really do because we have so much. Our lives are so crazy that when everyone's home, we're just like, let's do nothing. I want to volunteer. I guess I kind of do that with the benefits that I do for my kids' school. Stand up 4 nights a week, do it. Nope, didn't do that. Tried to get in this festival, did not. Book more acting work, did some. Write this script, didn't. Sell this show, we didn't. We're still waiting to hear if we have an offer on it. Make something, no, I didn't. You know how hard it is to make? It's not hard. It's not hard. It's not a good way to think. to make something. I mean, shoot something, make a video or a show or something. It can be tough, but if you just put your mind to it, you can do it. I put down to do a mud run. I didn't do a mud run, but I want to do one so bad. I've had this injury, to be honest with you. I'm in pain right now, sitting here talking to you. I have been. I don't know what it is. I went to a physical therapist. I spent it was $180 a visit, and I think I went 15 times. That's almost $3,000, and it's still not fixed. And I'm just like, well, I'm never going there again. Meditate daily. Just got back into my meditation, but I put more involved. I want to do like some group meditations. Anyone out there ever done a group meditation? Anyone that I talk to that's like going through stuff, I'm like, have you ever tried meditating? And don't tell me you're using a goddamn app, because that's not what I'm talking about. I did yoga for a little while. You ever do yoga? I don't know. Maybe get back into that. You know what? I went back to the gym today for the first time in a while, and I'm like, you're old, dude. You're like, it's been a while since I was working out, but I got to get back to it because I got to just do it. I put on here to get my friend a New Year's gift. I have a friend that I want to get a New Year's gift from, and I'm going to. And then remember my nephew's birthday. I'm going to save a certain amount of money. I'm close. I'm close to that. I put down, this is a goal. Golf once every 2 weeks. Listen, you got to golf once every 2 I want to be at a place where I can just golf whenever I want, and it should be a goal to like golf more. I want to be a camper. God damn it. How do I become a camper? I mean, who's out there? Are you guys booking goals? Or what family things should I be looking at? Because I feel like I'm going to start posting little videos of things that I do with the family and how we do them and why I do them. But I'd love to know things that you guys are doing. Share it with me. I share my cooking. I cook like crazy for these kids. I don't even know what time I started this. And I think that that's something that we should do more of, you know. Because when you eat as a family, like, how many people are eating in front of the TV? Are you doing that, or are you just eating with the kids? I feel like part of me is like, are you doing stuff too old school, bro? Or are you not doing them old school enough? You know what I mean? We eat as a family, no TV. We talk, we discuss the day. That's what we do. You know, how do we do more of that? I don't know. I feel like I'm giving you guys a lot of things to think about. Here's the deal. I love that you listen. Please keep sharing. And tell me things you want me to talk about, and I'll make sure that we're going to talk about them on next week's episode. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Please share it. If I post a video on Instagram, share it. If I post a video on Facebook, please share it. The more you share for me, the better the episodes will get. And that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys next week.